say hey. Say my name is King Shakur Mitchell. Hey y'all, and welcome back to my channel. So you already know, according by the title, today's video is going to be about my labor and delivery story with me giving birth to King and almost dying. So yes, I'm gonna give y'all the day before up until the day that I gave birth and what happened, as much as I can, because some things I don't really remember because I was kind of out of it. But yeah, so let's get started. So January 31st, Wednesday, I had my last doctor's appointment. I was 39 weeks and I think 2 days, I think it was. Yeah, 2 days. And King just wasn't budging. Like, I was having contractions sometimes, but it just wasn't enough. Like, he just wasn't budging. He did not want to come out. I just felt like he did not want to come out. So I did everything. I went walking, I did castor oil, I bounced on a ball, I did the mother's brew. What else I did? I did so many things, like walking upstairs, squats, all of that. Nothing happened. So Wednesday, I had my last doctor's appointment for, I think it was like 2:30, 3 o'clock, something like that. I went in, they checked me. I was 2 centimeters dilated. I was thinned out just a little bit, but not a lot. But the week before that, from 37 weeks to 38 weeks, I was 1 centimeter. Like, I didn't budge. I think at 38 weeks, I was like 1.5. I can't remember. So at 39 weeks, I finally got to a 2. I was a little bit thinned. My cervix was a little bit thinned out, but I was still thick, and King was still sitting up high. So he did a membrane sweep. If you don't know what that is, that's when the doctor will go in and take your cervix and kind of like wrap it around the baby's head. And this was my first time getting a membrane sweep. I never had to get any with my other 3 kids. So with this one, this is my first time. So I think that's what it is, when they take your cervix and, you know, kind of wrap it around the baby's head, just so it can get, you know, labor started and you can start having contractions and all that type of stuff. So once he did that, now the week before that, he did a membrane sweep. Nothing happened. So once he did it this time, I started cramping. Like, as soon as he did it and I got, you know, everything was good, I got up, I started feeling little cramps. So he was like, okay, well, let's go ahead and do, you know, schedule an induction day. He was like, just in case, you know, if this don't happen, you know, if nothing don't happen or anything, you know, this doesn't work, you know, we're just gonna go ahead and schedule an induction day. So Friday 12 midnight was gonna be the day that I go in to get induced. So we scheduled it for that day. I was on the list. They had a room for me, all that type of stuff. I was like, all right, cool. So I left the doctor's office. I go home. I'm getting stuff prepared. You know, I'm cleaning up the house. I'm making sure I have everything in my bag. I have everything in King's bag. You know, just getting stuff, you know, together. So me and Kevin, we decided to do like a little date day or whatever the next day. So we were going to go out to eat and stuff like that, you know, just spend time with each other before I go into labor. So we just scheduled, you know, just made some plans for the next day. Once the kids went to school, we was just gonna, you know, go have some lunch, do a little shopping, you know, just spend time with each other. So Wednesday, I kind of knew that I was going to go in before the induction day because I was cramping. That Wednesday night, I went to bed. I was in and out of my sleep. Like, I would fall asleep, then I would wake up because I was cramping, you know. So it was just really uncomfortable. So I finally woke up, like fully woke up at like 3 something in the morning. I started having contractions. They were coming like clockwork. After that, like they were coming. Like, I would say after 3:30, they started coming like clockwork. I started timing them around about like 3:15. So I had like the app on my phone where it was like a contraction timer. So every time I would have a contraction, I would time it. So they were like 5 to 6 minutes apart, and then they would get to like 4 or 5 minutes apart, and then they got down to 3 to 2 minutes apart. I got up out of my bed to use the bathroom. I went to use the bathroom. I laid back down. I started timing them again. The contractions were 5 to 6 minutes apart and stuff, but they wasn't like painful. You know, they were kind of sort of painful, but they were basically tolerable. Like, I could tolerate it. It wasn't like I gotta go right now. Like, no, it didn't reach that point yet. So that's why I was just like, let me get up and use the bathroom. I laid back down. I was like, all right, every time they come, I'm just gonna keep timing them. So that's what I did. I got up one more time. Once I start feeling like the inner part of my thighs were like wet, I started feeling like wetness and stuff, and like kind of like a leak. So I got up, I went to go use the bathroom, I wiped, and I seen that my mucus plug had came completely out. It literally, like, once I got, I wiped, I flushed the toilet, all that. I got up, once I was heading towards the door, like, I felt, once I looked, I was like, I'm completely wet, and I looked down there. My mucus plug was literally, like, the rest of my mucus plug was on the floor. Like, I'm so serious, and I know that's nasty, but whatever. It was on the floor, like, seriously. And if you don't know what a mucus plug is, it's the plug that it closes like your cervix area, so no infections would get in where the baby, you know, in your sac or whatever, and where the baby is at, and it keeps your water bag intact, you know. So my mucus plug had came out, and it was literally on the floor. I was like, oh my gosh. So I woke Kevin up. I'm like, babe, I don't think my water has completely broke. I said, but I did lose my mucus plug did come out, and I do feel some leaking. I'm like, I think it's time to go. So I'm like, come over here and look and see like what you see. So I'm sitting there, I lift my leg up and stuff. I'm like, what's, you know, he was like, yeah, I see, like, it's really, you know, I see it's really wet. You know, I was really like, my whole and legs and stuff, water, it was just dripping. So I'm like, all right, let's go. So we get up, we get the kids ready, he get ready, I'm getting my, you know, my clothes together and all that stuff. So I'm putting my clothes on. I wanted to take a shower, but the contractions really started to come once that last mucus plug came out. Like, my contractions really started to come really heavy. So we get all the kids together, I get them ready for school, I do my kids' hair, I'm doing all this while having contractions, yes. So we get everything going, but we had to kind of like wait the time out. I was trying to like push the time because their daycare didn't open until 6:30, and it was like 5:45, almost 6 o'clock at this time. So I'm like, look, we just gonna have to push it until it get about 6:25 or whatever, and we could just go ahead and go. I'm like, I can wait, it's fine. Even though I was having them, I'm like, I could, you know, I was just breathing through them. So we finally leave at like 6:25. We make it there, we drop them off, we head straight to the hospital after that. As I'm going up, the nurse actually that was caring for me while I was, you know, in labor and delivery, she was in the elevator with us. I think she had just came in, or just coming in, because, you know, the shift changes at 7 o'clock. So it was about a little bit after 6:30, 6:35, something like that, because it took me a while. It took us a while to get up to, you know, for me to get out the car and get, you know, walking and stuff, because I was having contractions. So she's on the elevator with us, with other nurses too that were, you know, coming in for their shift. And I tell them, you know, I don't think my water has completely broke. I said, but I you know, I think that it has ruptured. I was like, and I'm having contractions. My contractions were down to, I want to say 2 to 3 minutes apart at that time. So I'm walking slow as Kevin is talking to the nurse. I'm standing there. She's like, okay, we're gonna bring you to the room down there, you know, at the bottom, down the hallway on your right. And I'm like, give me 1 second, I'm having a contraction. So she's like, oh, take your time, da da da. So I had a contraction. After that contraction, I was able to go. But then they, you know, remember, they knew, they was like, okay, I remember, you know, you're supposed to come in, you know, for an induction at 12 midnight or whatever. And it was like, the baby must have other plans. And I'm just like, yeah, bring me to my room. I'm having so much pain. So we get in my room. Of course, they give me a gown, and all that type of stuff or whatever. And I go in the bathroom, I change, I'm having contractions. I finally come out the bathroom, and they were literally just coming. I laid down on the bed, and they come in, they check me. The nurse that was actually a trainee, so she was a nurse that was in the C-section part, like doing surgery and stuff, but she never did vaginal deliveries. So when she come in and she checks me, when I tell you that's the worst pain ever, it was the worst. That hurt more than me having contractions, because I was having a contraction, she was checking me, it hurt so bad. It felt like she was like ripping, like it felt like something was being ripped up out of me, and she was pulling on it even more. Like, it hurt so freaking bad. It hurt so bad. I'm like, lady, like, oh my God, I'm hollering, like, just stop, you know. So she didn't know what she was doing, you know. So of course they had another nurse there with her that was training her, so she had to come and actually check me. So once she checked me, I think I was like 4 or 5 centimeters dilated. So of course, you know, you get checked in, they admit me to the hospital, of course. So once that happened, she said, okay, I'm about to text Dr. Landry and let him know that, you know, you're in labor, you're here, all that type of stuff. So they text him. He actually has a C-section that was scheduled for that morning. So around that time while I was in labor, he had to do a C-section. So I don't think he came up to my room until about, I want to say it was probably like 8. I think it was, because I think his C-section was for like 7 or something. So I think it was like a little bit after 8 o'clock he came. So he came up there, he checked me. I was still 5.5. I think I had got to 5. Yeah, I think I was 5.5 centimeters. So he was like, okay, well, we're gonna wait to bust your water all the way, because my water didn't, like I said, they told me that it didn't break, it ruptured. So I was leaking a little bit, but it didn't completely break. So he was like, all right, we're gonna wait a little bit, just wait till you get a little bit further and stuff, and then we're gonna break your water. So I'm like, okay, that's fine, cool. So I'm sitting there, I'm having contractions, I bounced on the ball. They wasn't catching my contractions as I was sitting on the ball with the monitors for some reason. I don't know why, but they wasn't catching them. So I had to get from the ball, get back in the bed. She had me get on all fours. I'm having contractions. She's pressing down on my back, which works wonders. Like, that works really good. So if you decide to have a natural birth, because that's what I wanted, but of course it didn't turn out that way. But if you do want to do a natural birth, that's the best position to be in while somebody is pressing down on your back while you're having a contraction. It takes the pain away, not completely, but it eases the pain. Like the contractions doesn't come as hard, you know. So when it's coming, it kind of, to me, it felt like when she was pressing on my back as I was having contractions, it took the pain, it took the intense part away from it. It felt like a cramp to me, because as she was pressing down, I was still like swaying, because it felt really good to me. As she was pressing down on my back, I was kind of like, I was swaying my hips. So that's what she told me to do, you know, when I'm pressing down on your back and stuff, just sway your hips as I'm doing that. And when I was doing it, it felt so much better. So as the contractions went away, I rest my hips, and I just laid down on the pillow. It felt so good. Another contraction came, and after that, I couldn't take anymore. So she was like, well, let's get over this contraction. And, you know, but they was fight, you know, she was just like, I think you can do it. I don't think you need an epidural. I think you're doing so good. Let's go. I'm like, no, I want the epidural so bad. Please. So she was like, all right. So the anesthesiologist came and he gave me the epidural. I felt good. I still was having contractions. I still was feeling them, because of course it takes a good while. I think they said about 5 or 10 minutes, I think, for the epidural to start working. So I start feeling a little bit better. I did have contractions. I was having contractions as I was getting the epidural. It was so painful. I was literally trying to, like, I was leaning forward on the lady. I wanted to get up so bad. Like, I was like this and like pressing my weight down like this because I was having contractions and it hurt so bad. So I'm trying to stay still as they give me the epidural, but I couldn't. It hurt so bad. So anyways, after all that had happened, I think King's heart rate dropped. So they was trying to find his heart rate and stuff like that, and they couldn't. So they was like, so my doctor come in and he tells me, we're gonna have to take him. And I'm like, what? Like, I'm out of it. I'm like, okay, what's going, like, what you mean? Like, you know, so, you know, they finally tell me, you know, we're gonna have to rush you down to surgery. You're gonna have to have a C-section. I'm like, what? Are you serious? Like, what in the world is what's going on? They never told me, like, okay, we can't find his heart rate. I knew because that's what they were looking for. They were trying to, like, they took the monitors and like put it on his head. I had the same thing with I think it was Mackenzie, because her heart rate had dropped, and they put these little things on her head to catch her heart rate because they couldn't find it on her monitors because she was already so low. But even with them putting it on his head, they still couldn't find it for some reason. So after that had happened, they was like, my doctor was like, well, you know what, we're just gonna wait. He was like, I'm gonna wait it out. I'm just gonna see, you know, because I think finally they caught, you know, his heart rate came back. You know, they found his heart rate, everything was good. So he was like, all right, well, let's just wait it out. Let's just see how it goes. Let's rest and make sure that, you know, it doesn't, you know, go away or, you know, anything like that. Like, he had to stretch my cervix to 10 centimeters. I felt if I didn't, like, I felt like if I didn't get the epidural, or if none of this would have happened, I felt like my labor would have been very long, because I was at 5 centimeters for a very long time. Like, I was 5.5 centimeters for a very long time. Like, once he kept checking me and I just wasn't changing. So they were trying to hurry up because that issue had happened with King, and they didn't want it to happen again. They wanted to hurry up and get him out, and wanted to figure out, you know, make sure that he was all right and stuff. So he stretched me to 10. He told me, you know, once you feel that pressure that you need to push, just let me know. I told him, I said, it's go time. I feel the pressure, let's go. So I start pushing and pushing. He comes out. I think I pushed probably a good 4 times, I want to say. Don't know how long, how many minutes or anything. I know I pushed about 4 or 5 times, and he was out. He came out, he was crying. He was so little and so cute. And I think they put him on my chest. Yeah, they put him on my chest actually. And then after that, they took him, they, you know, wiped him down and all that type of stuff. Then after all that had happened, you know, Dr. Landry was just like, okay, you know, you did good, congratulations, all that type of stuff. I was like, thank you, all right. After, I want to say about 5 minutes or so after me giving birth to my son, my whole right side went numb. From my face down to my arm, I couldn't feel nothing at all. This arm was fine. My face, like this, my left side was cool. Like, everything was fine. My right side, I couldn't feel nothing. They give me him. I don't say nothing at first because I'm like, okay, well, maybe it's probably just the epidural acting weird, or, you know, I'm like, maybe it's just nothing. So they give me King, and I'm holding him and stuff in my right arm, and, you know, loving on him, kissing on him and stuff. And then they're like, okay, you have to sign the epidural paper. You know, when you get an epidural, you have to sign a consent, a form, a waiver, whatever it is. You have to sign it, you know, saying you get, you know, you give them permission to give you the epidural and all that. So of course I didn't sign it at first because I planned on having a natural birth. I really wanted a natural birth so bad. You don't understand how bad I wanted a natural birth. I really wanted one, but I just, it was so painful I couldn't. But also I was almost about to get a C-section, so I felt like, you know, it is what it is, you know. So after that, she brings me the paper to, once they take King away, they give me the paper to sign for the epidural. I'm like, I can't sign it. I said I asked her, I said, is this normal for my arm and the side of my face to be numb? I said, is this normal? I said, I can't, and she's still trying to get me to sign the paper. I said, I can't sign it. I said, I can't feel anything. I could barely grip the pen. I couldn't. So they gave Kevin the paper to sign. And she was like, well, let me go ask the nurse and see, is this normal or anything like that. So the lady told her, no, that's not normal. What you mean you can't? I said, I can't feel my arm. I said, I can't even write. I said, my face is numb. After all of that, once she told the nurse, I want to say 10 to 15 people rushed in my room, including the head surgeon of the hospital. He comes in and he does these little exercises with me or whatever. So he's like, pull me, like grab my hands and try to pull me. So I grab his hands and I'm pulling with everything out of me. Like, he gets pulled with my left arm, but my right arm, he could tell, like, I didn't have no strength. They had me, smile and all that type of stuff or whatever. My eye felt like, my whole side of my face just felt droopy, like it was falling off like this. Like, that's how it literally felt like. It was terrible. So they're like, okay, we got to get you to do, we got to get you to the, to do an MRI. We had to go and get your MRI done, like, now. So they're taking stuff off of me. They took my earrings out. They took my nose ring out. I still don't have my nose ring in to this day. They took my nose ring out, all my jewelry, all that type of stuff off of me, to rush me to go get an MRI. I see Kevin standing in front of me and the other guy that was there, who does the MRI, who took me down to the MRI. Kevin's asking him, like, what's going on? Like, what is it? They was like, she's showing signs of a stroke. And Kevin was like, okay, so what's gonna happen? Like, what he was like, well, she possibly could die. She possibly could die, or she could be paralyzed. She could permanently be paralyzed on her right side, And Kevin, like, he started cursing. Like, he really did. He like, don't tell me that shit. Don't, like, I hear him say that, man, don't tell me that shit. I can't, He started crying. He rushed, like, he literally jets out the room, like, crying, and he calls his mom. He told me after this, like, after I got everything done and all of that, he told me, I went and called my mom. I had to pray. I needed her to pray and all that type of stuff or whatever. And it was just so scary. So as I'm leaving, they're taking me to go get an MRI. I'm praying. I'm like, please, Lord, please, 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 like, let me be okay. Please don't let this be no signs of no stroke. Like, I was so terrified. I was so terrified because I couldn't feel anything. I could not move my arm, my face. I couldn't even speak. Like, I couldn't say anything. He's trying to talk to me and I couldn't say nothing. Like, my speech was so slurred, like, and then I was out of it. My whole body was tired. I wanted to sleep, so I was tired. My arm was numb, the side of my face, my speech was slurred, like, all of that. So I go to the MRI to get it done. I had box braids in my head, so I had the jewelry in my head, which I literally forgot I even had in my head. So they had to take those out one by one. I had so many in my head, I really did. So they had to take those out. Then I finally get my MRI done. The doctor wanted me to stay in the ICU for 24 hours to be watched, So I'm like, okay, I understood that. I'm like, well, am I going to get to see my baby? Is my baby going to come to my room? One person, the nurse is telling me, yes, they're going to bring your baby up here, but you and your baby have to stay in ICU for 24 hours, and, we just want to monitor you, woo, 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 whatever. So I'm thinking, I'm like, all right, cool, that's fine, as long as I get to, I just want to see my baby. I want to hug him. I want to hold him. Like, I didn't even get a chance to really actually get a good chance to look at him, So after I get up there and I'm like, Kevin, he finally comes, and, we're just like, where's our baby? Is the baby gonna come up here? The nurse finally tells us that they're not gonna let the baby come up here because, of course, it's the ICU and my baby was completely healthy, and they're not gonna send a healthy baby to the ICU where there are very, very, very sick people are at, you know. Literally, like, as soon as you walk into ICU, I was right there on the left. They still was like, no, you know. So it took me forever to see my son. I gave birth to him, I think at like 9:45, I think it was. I did not see him until 7 or 8 o'clock that night to go down there to breastfeed him. They actually gave my baby a bottle at like 4. They gave him formula. I was so pissed off because I did not want my son to have a bottle. I didn't want him to have a bottle. You know, I told him, actually the lactation nurse came up to me and she was trying to talk to me, but like I said, I couldn't talk. I couldn't say nothing. I was out of it. I was tired. I was still completely numb. I couldn't say nothing. I couldn't talk or anything. The MRI was clear. I was good. It was no stroke or anything. Everything was good. Everything was fine. I was happy about that. I was so happy, but to this day, they still don't know why my right side was numb. The only thing I think they told me was it possibly could have been the epidural. I think the anesthesiologist guy gave me too much because he actually came back in when I was going to get when it was planning on sending me down to surgery to get a C-section. He came back in to give me more medicine because you have to be really, really numb when you're going into surgery to get, you know, you get a different dosage. I think when you're getting a vaginal and you're getting a C-section, I think you get like different dosage. So I think he was supposed to give me more. But Dr. Landry, like I told you, he wanted to wait it out because they finally, you know, got King's heart rate. They found it and everything was good, you know, and all of that. They were able to get it on the monitors and stuff. So he was like, no, let's just wait it out. I don't know what happened. I think the anesthesiologist guy gave me more of what he was supposed to, and that's why my whole right side went numb. I don't know. They just told me it could have possibly been the epidural, but they just don't know. I was fine. I was cool as long as it wasn't a stroke, you know, signs of a stroke or anything. I was fine. I was all right. I was like, okay, well, if it has something to do with the epidural, I'm like, all right, that's cool. As long as you know, I was good. It did take a while for me to get my feeling back in my right side and stuff. So I think it took about 5, maybe 6 hours for the numbness to go away. And that's even from the waist down, for me to be able to feel everything. So by like 4 or 5 o'clock, I was able to, you know, from the first time I got my epidural until then, it might have been longer than that. I was able to feel my toes. I was able to move my arm, and my face was, you know, I was starting to get my feeling back. It was still pretty weak. You know, my arm, my hand, you know, all this was good, but my hands and stuff was still pretty weak and stuff, but I was able to, you know, have a little bit of strength. It wasn't completely there yet, but I was getting there, you know. So yeah, I was in the ICU for 24 hours. I went to go see my baby. They gave him a bottle. I was pissed the hell off that they gave him a bottle because I didn't want them to have a bottle. But they talked to Kevin. They told him, you know, he needs to eat and all of that. We need to give, you know, since she's out of it and she can't, you know, we need to give him some food. So, and I wasn't able to come down there. They wasn't able to bring him to ICU, so it's nothing that they could do. So once all of that, I was like, all right, you know, that's fine. The second time she come up, they're still trying to give him a bottle for the second time because he ate, I think, at like 4, and it was time for him to eat again around about, like, I want to say 7. And I told that lady, I said, if you give my son a bottle, we're gonna have issues. I said, I'm fine right now. I said, I can get in the wheel, you know, I can get into a wheelchair. Y'all can wheel me down there and I'm able to feed him. I'm up, I'm you know, I can speak. I'm finally, you know, getting everything together. I was able to rest some too. So I was starting to, you know, feel better. And I just had to tell her, I said, if you give my son a bottle, we're gonna have issues, because I told y'all before I even, you know, before he even came out, I told you I'm going to breastfeed him. You know, the first time I understood because I was out of it. I said, but now that I'm good and I'm up and everything is fine, I'm going to breastfeed my baby. So coming from the ICU, it's a lot of stuff that I had to do. They had to give me wipes. I had to wipe my arms, my hands, my breasts, my chest, all over here. I had to wash my face, everything. I had to change my gown, my socks, everything before I went down there to the baby, to go see my baby. Now, I didn't go in the nursery. I had to go in the NICU. So I had to go where the very, very, very sick babies are at. And my son had to come in there too. But that's the only place where I could be. I couldn't go in the nursery where the healthy babies were, you know, so I had to go in the NICU to see him. But I was so happy to see him, that everything else, once I seen him, it just went out the window. I didn't care about nothing else. I was just very happy to see him and breastfeed him for the first time. It was amazing. We went through a lot that day. Kevin went through a lot that day. You know, he told me, hearing that the mother of your children could possibly die or be paralyzed, he was like, he didn't know what to think. He was literally out of it. He was getting angry, you know, and very mad and just like, what's going on? I don't know, like, what happened? Did it, you know, from everything going great and good in a split second, it was a lot. So we both was going through some things. I was going through some stuff. When I couldn't see my baby for those hours, it literally tore me apart that I could not see my son. So I was going through a lot. It was just a lot that I went through on February 1st of this year, 2018. It was so much. He came out 6 pounds, 2.2 ounces. I think he was 18 inches long. He was my little light bright. He was so light, y'all. He was really light. He was so light. But he was just my sunshine, like, and he still is. He's such a laugh, goofy baby. I love him to death. If I had to do it over again, I would. If I had to do it all over again to give my son life, I would, because I would die for my children. And if it takes for me dying to get my babies here, that's something that I would definitely do. 1000%. I would literally do it again. Like, it doesn't matter. If somebody was to tell me, would you, you know, do it again, and the same thing happening, I would do it again. No doubt. Like, for real. My son came out healthy. That's all that matters. As long as he came out healthy, he was fine. He was good. They found his heart rate. You know, they was able to get it on the monitors and stuff. I was cool. I was fine, you know. It is what it is. I just thank God that he was okay, and he still is, you know. So I thank God for that process. I prayed and prayed and prayed on the way to get my MRI. I prayed the whole time I was there, you know, and the next day I was able to see my baby. I left the ICU about a little bit after 8:30. I went down, I took a shower, they brought me breakfast. Then a little bit after I got into the room, they brought me my baby, and I was so freaking happy to see him. I cried when I was in the ICU. I cried. The nurses came in and I was boo-hooing. I wanted to see my baby. I just wanted to hold him. I told him, I said, when I get down to my baby tomorrow, I said, I'm going to spoil him right. I said, I am not putting him down. I'm going to hold him as much as I can. I'm not letting him go. I know that was just, it felt forever, you know, for me to see him. Like, it really felt so long, you know. And then with me being down there in the NICU and spending that time with him, it still wasn't one-on-one time, you know, because I still had people around, nurses, you know, them caring for the little sweet babies that were in there and stuff. So I really didn't get that one-on-one time with him like I wanted to, that peace, quiet time, that bonding time. It was still bonding, but you know, when it's just you and the baby in the room, you know, if you ever, you know, had a baby or whatever, just that bonding time in a room, quietness, you just sitting there singing to your baby, you know, all of that, you know. I was ready for that, just time with just me and him, you know. So it was just a lot of, you know, noise, you know, monitors going off and all of that, you know. They have multiple nurses in the NICU, so it was just a lot, you know, going on in this small little space that I had to breastfeed him. So, but it was amazing, you know. Birth, you know, giving birth is amazing experience. It really is. Even though things could happen and change, you know, within a split second, it's still the most special, the most precious, beautiful thing ever in this world to ever do. You know, I did it 4 times, and every time was still special to me. You know, each child, it was still a blessing. It was special. It was the most beautifulest thing ever, like seriously. And I'm just so happy that my baby is here. All my babies are here, you know, and everything is healthy. I'm glad I'm healthy to be here with them. I thank God for that. Like, I really do. I thank God that I am here to be able to continue to take care of all 4 of my children. You know, but just a lot of prayer, keeping God first and stuff really is like the most thing that got me through that situation, got us through that situation too, because he was just a part of it just as much as I was, you know. So yeah, it was a lot, but I thank God that I'm here to be able to tell y'all this story. You know, it's a lot, you know, that women go through when giving birth, you know. So it's just women in general, no matter what color, whatever, women in general we are so strong and powerful, and just the things that we can do and what we create and how we, you know, how we do it and stuff like that. It's like, it's amazing, you know. It is really amazing what women can do. We're just so powerful and so strong and all of that, you know. And labor and giving birth, and it's a lot, you know. It's not easy. It's one of the toughest things, you know. Like they say, when a woman is giving birth, she has 1 foot in the grave, you know, because anything could happen, you know. Anything could happen, you know, at that moment. So you just don't know. But I pray for anyone that's watching this video and you're about to get ready and have your baby. I pray for safe delivery. Girl, you got this. I'm telling you, it's the most beautifulest thing ever. It's the most beautifulest thing ever. I wish I could have recorded me giving birth to my son. I don't have no videos of none of my kids, of me giving birth to any of my kids. I have a lot of pictures, but I don't have any video. But if you could, if this is your first, you know, birth or whatever, videotape it, please. Like, videotape it, because it's the most precious thing ever, and it's just a memory that you want to have, that you can go back and, you know, watch and stuff like that. It's amazing. Like, it really is. And I pray for safe and deliveries for you, for anybody that you know, whoever that it is, girlfriend, sister, aunt, mom, whoever it is, you know. I pray for safe delivery. And boy, he's here. He's chunky as ever. Breastfed baby. Yes, he is. We've been breastfeeding for 6 months, and he is just so sweet and chunky, and I love him to death. So thank y'all for watching this video. Don't forget to subscribe, like, comment below if you have any questions or anything like that. I will definitely answer them for you, and I will see y'all in the next video. Bye.